respond. Yeah, I don't know. Why can't you people just wake up? Jonathan is not the one that is the president now. Wake up. This is your born to rule mentality. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Not
So you heard that this is a Yoruba militia sending a very stringent warnings to the north that that mantra that you are born to rule will no longer hold sway whenever the southern candidates are in power. Why is it that now that we have a southern candidate, particularly a Yoruba person, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this is why we are hearing coup plots and whatnot? I mean, when we take a look at the Nigerian army, the population of ethnicity in the Nigerian armies, we know that about 65 to 70% of the armies are northerners, whether from the core north, whether from the middle belt and northers, whatever it is, they are the ones who occupy that. And that, why is it now that we have narratives, we have headlines stating that there is a coup plot against the Nigerian democracy of over 25, 26 years? You see, what is going on in this country is just a stark reminder that we as a people must rethink and reconstitute how we want to live and coexist together. I've always said it, whether we like it or not, if the president, whether a northern president, whether a southern president, for as long as they lack the courage to do the needful, which is let us reform, let us change the constitution, let us decentralize our resources and security apparatus, two things will either happen: a military coup, a civilian revolution. All right, these two things are imminent. But unfortunately, these things will only happen, and I suspect that only when we have a southern candidate in there. Because if there was supposed to be anything called or anything similar to military coup, that should have been under a Buhari regime. Because we all know how Buhari desecrated our constitution, how he went out there. He was the one that inaugurated and he pioneered, politics of bigotry, where most of his appointments, most of his nominees were from his own ethnic region. I mean, most of his security aides and whatnot, they were all from either northwest and northeast and north central. But we never saw anything similar to the coup, to a coup being staged, whether from the southwest. Nobody talks about this. But most times when we have a military coup, it has to be a southwesterner or particularly a southerner who wants to be there. And this reminds me to the last, very, very, the most heart-wrecking and heartbreaking coup that we had in Nigeria, which has to do with the last stop of democracy that happened in 1993, where Babangida stopped the annulment of the election of Abiola. And this is what the Yoruba militias are saying. They are sending a warning, they are reading the riot act to them, that this one will not be like 1993. That anything that has to do with military coup now will be the end of Nigeria. Now, yes, in 1993, which is exactly about 30 something years ago, 31 years ago, that as at that time, the Yorubas still believe in one Nigeria. As at that time, the Yoruba were simply calling for the release of Abiola and a return to democracy. But if anything happens now and Tinubu is overthrown, then Nigeria will be a forgotten story. I mean, these are the words of the Yoruba militias, Yoruba Ronus, the hard fans, the hardliners who are supporting Tinubu, and these are the people who are saying that they will turn Nigeria to dust. I mean, there's a lot you have to listen to, but before I play you these recordings, and of course the reactions that I took from a very high level meeting that I just came out from this morning, you have to understand that if the North do not respect themselves, that indeed the South at this time are reawakened, they are conscious, and they are not afraid. Because Tinubu is not Jonathan, who will be scared. Because Tinubu is not Abiola, who is ready to sacrifice his life. No. And because, of course, mostly the Southerners at this time have never before, are now calling for what we call a total decentralization of powers. it not surprising that the northern leaders, most especially the northern political opposition leaders, have not said anything, they've not spoken regarding these rumors of military coup? Is it not surprising that the likes of El-Rufai that calls themselves Democrats, Atikus, is it not surprising that they've not issued a word? I mean, when the northerner is there, if there's anything similar to military coup, you'll be hearing words like the worst of democracy is better than the best of military coup. Why are these people not parroting this same assertion? But you have to understand that the truth is this. The truth is this: Nigeria cannot escape either of those two things. Yes, and it will be definitely be done by the people up north. Yes, I said that. I said it in one of my programs that I made yesterday. I said, if in this first term, and Tinubu start talking about state police, he start talking about resource control, and he uses Akpabio to try and choose the northern senators, the civil war will start right there from the National Assembly. Yes. Have you all forgotten what happened with the tax reform bill? Have you all forgotten? So you can imagine if any southerner, okay, wants to go in there and say he wants to do some high level, some very, very far reaching reforms and changes. We all must understand that these people will not go down without a fight. We must understand that these people will not give up on what they know they have been feeding fat from for over 6 decades. And by the way, I am not in any way trying to maybe call support for Tinubu, but the truth must be said. The last time we had something similar to this, a Sultana was there in 1993. The last time that, in fact, the Fulani militias and mercenaries wanted to overrun a president was in 2013, 2014. It was Jonathan, a Southerner. And today, just 2 years into the administration of another Southerner, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we now have issues of military coup. So you have to understand, you have to be what? Someone who listens and pay attention to details and who has critical thinking. That why is it that whenever a northerner is there, the north will just accept it, they will accept the government, they will accept it in faith, they will tolerate whatever shenanigans that northern president does. But when a southern candidate gets in there and he begins to try and protect the interests of the south, averse the things he should averse to the side of the south, these people will begin to heat up the politics. These people will begin to rile up some certain level of sentiment. These people will begin to push some level of rhetorics that can burn down the nation. I mean, the last time we all saw what Buba Galadima said. Buba Galadima said there will be civil war if Tinubu does one thing or that. Tell me one person that said such under Buhari regime. The worst, or the only thing that any southerner said was said by Showore, and that was revolution now. That is quite different from military coup. That is different from military coup. You see, this level of deception is just we wasting our time, our life as a people, our chances of prospering as a nation. And this is why I keep calling on Tinubu that whatever reform you think you've achieved, my brother, lifting of subsidy from fuel, unification of the dollar with the naira, all these things, tax bill, all these things will not matter if the constitution itself is not changed. If the constitution does not guarantee the success and the sustainability of a nation towards the path of prosperity, we will just be wasting our time. Yes, if Tinubu fails to push these critical changes, state police resource, if not total resource control by each state, at least some level of redistribution in the proportionate, in the proportion and the percentage sharing done across board. If that does not happen, if another Nathan candidate gets in there, of course it will reverse so many policies. It will reverse so many policies. And there's nothing anybody will be able to do after that time. So it will, listen, the gains Obasanjo made. I mean, since 1999, a Southerner has been our best president. Yes. What did the Northerner do? When the Northerner came on board, he reversed everything. Then Jonathan came, tried to push the country forward. Then another what? Northerner came, reversed it. So listen, if Tinubu thinks he is winning, he is only wasting his time if he does not change the constitution, if he does not regionalize the country, if we do not go into true federalism. Another Northerner will come and he will reverse everything. Shikena, but abun shiga. Nothing will happen. But abun Peru. Nothing will happen. I repeat. Obasanjo back then wanted to ensure that we have Vision 2020 by year 2020. We will no longer struggle for incessant power electricity. We will no longer struggle of fuel scarcity. But what happened? Umaru Yar'Adua came, reversed the sales of the refineries to Dangote. He reversed it. He handed it over back to the northern oligarchs who were in charge of the oil refineries. That's it. When Jonathan got in there, Jonathan did a lot of things. At the end of the day, they brought in, foreign bandits to crumble the economy, to chase out Jonathan, and then Buhari took us to where we are today, where Tinubu is picking it up from. So it is not, see, whether military coup or not, one thing I know is when Tinubu is done, if Tinubu fails to do those things I mentioned, such as state police, true federalism, resource control, another Northerner will come there, he will not even talk about it. If another Southerner gets in there, he will want to talk about it. They will still do what? They will still stand against it. And until either a civil uprising happens where people, mass action, people troop to the street and collectively seek constitutional change, or of course the military take over. But I guess that might not necessarily happen. Of course, let's listen to these reactions of the Yoruba militias and machineries, or what they think will happen to Nigeria if there is a coup against Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Good morning, guys. I think there's one thing that Kabiru said that I agree with. That we shouldn't politicize it. Unfortunately, there is no way we'll speak about this that will not it will not be politicized. If we keep quiet, the coalition bandits are going to milk it and say, oh, because the country is going the wrong direction. Do not even, I mean, the barbarian mode, Peter Obi supporters are 100% behind the coup. Let us not forget that they have actually carried out a protest, to the defense headquarters, asking the army, to take over.
Yeah, correct, Bashir. I remember that period.
Yes, they carried out a protest demanding that the army should intervene, should overthrow the government. So when you have such elements in our midst, and then you have the ADC bandit, looking like, orc and vampire on one side, try to lynch on any excuse. In fact, if you ask me, I'll tell you that the ADC bandits are the ones that are fingering the brain of some of their members, some of their family members who are in the army to carry out this mutiny. If they can go and derail, the train, sponsoring killings just to demarket the country, are you saying ordinary, plotting a coup, or carrying out mutiny within the army is what they cannot do? The opposition are very desperate and very dangerous. These people don't care whether we have a country or not. If they cannot win the election, the country should cease to exist. That is the mindset. That is the mindset of this so-called very dangerous people. And when I said, I gave the statistics. Unfortunately, the army will not come out and give statistics of the name of the officers, and their state of origin. Because in there, there's nothing like a state of origin. It's all Nigeria. But unfortunately, um, uh, we are beginning to. I cannot. I might not be disposed to release the names. But when I said 90% of the names are officers from the core north, that now call for great concern. That look, we must understand something. There is no way you can carry out a coup in Nigeria and succeed. What we will have is a civil war. Gone are the days, a Fulani man Fulanis will not, come together in the army and then convince maybe one or two Yoruba man, for instance, to paint it that it's a general coup that was plotted by everybody. Then you overthrow a Yoruba president and you think it will not happen. Same way, a Fulani will not be in power and Yoruba will, masquerade and bring two Fulani or two Hausas in their rank and they overthrow, vice versa. I think our politician must understand something. We are in 2023. There's coup is something that can never happen in Nigeria unless we are ready for civil war. So the desperation from ADC, particularly I'm talking of the ADC because that is where the evil, the demonic vampires that have held our country hostage since democracy. These are people that when you mention them, you don't even need to go and dig out all the atrocity. You have coup plotters, people that took part in coup. Like when Wike was saying that somebody brought his coup knowledge to come and organize a coup and remove him from the primary in 2023 at the primary of the PDP. These are our reality. So for the UADC bandits that you feel you cannot win the election, then the only thing you want to do, is to finger the brain of some of your family members or some of the people. I'm speaking to your political leaders in the coalition bandit movement. The people that you brought in, when they gave them slot, when the slot is available, you bought the slot or you use your influence to bring them into the service. And therefore, you are now holding them as in they hold you a favor. And anytime you can tell them to go and burn down the country to destabilize the country for your selfish political ambition, it will not happen. If instead of that, let Nigeria just break. Let everybody answer his father's name and his mother's name. I have always said this. Nigeria do not belong to Core North alone. Nigeria belong to all of us. All of these attempts that every time a Southerner is in position of power, you want to gang up and bully and do whatever it is to wrest power. It will not work again. It can't work. We're in a democracy. If you cannot convince people to vote for you, stop organizing indirect. Stop promoting coup. The opposition are behind it. It will not favor any of us. None of us will benefit from it. It will not favor any of us, and especially for we everyday Nigerians. That because you think your article is giving you stipends every month to come and be posting nonsense online, or you think El-Rufai helped you, you get you are also getting tip from El-Rufai, you're getting tip from Aregbesola, you're getting tip from David Mark and the rest of them. You think you will be safe if you cannot even pay house rent where there is peace in Nigeria. Where would you see money to pay? Will they have the time to pick your call when there is civil war? If you are struggling, you need to send them message to pay your house rent, to pay your children's school fees. Is it when there is civil war that they will jet out of the country and leave you behind? I think you should borrow yourself some brains.